Alright, we're going to do our 58 heads. We just got doing the 65 heads, different video. We're going to repeat session. We're going to do the 58 heads now. Okay, that is one rear head 58. This is one front head 58. They're actually, I think, 60 castings, but yeah, they're 61 castings though. They're actually 61, but they're going on a 58 bike. They look the same. The difference is these are 5-fin, and your earlier heads are 4-fin, and your side holder heads are 5. These are side holder motor. They went back to 4-fin. So that's how you tell these heads apart, because they got 5 fins already. You got more cooling area. Harley didn't like it, so they went back to the crappy ones. Not sure why they did that. I'm sure they had a good theory though. Okay, so we're going to take our sleeve retainer Loctite. This is known as the good stuff because it doesn't give, there's no give. You put a little bit on your finger right here. You don't pick your nose with it. You put it on the valve guide. So it goes on top of the valve guide here. Let me turn this a little bit. So it goes right here where the valve seal goes. Goes right on here. Just wipe it on with your finger. You don't want too much on there, so try not to make it too big of a mess. Whatever gets on top of the guide, like it is right there, wipe it off. Do not wipe it into the hole, wipe it away from the hole. Then you take what's left here, and you put on this side over here. And you do this one. Just like that. Alright, who's calling me at 1:30 in the morning? Let me guess. Hello. Yeah, I'll be home about another hour or so. Yeah, maybe a quicker, maybe a half hour if I'm lucky. Yep, trying to put some heads together. Alright, see you later. Bye. Checking up from me. I don't know why they want me home at 1:30 in the morning. The hell. No need. They know I'm working. Alright, so put more Loctite on there. Put that on there. Alright, so you got Loctite on all your guide holes. Not guide holes, guide bodies, the outside. Wipe off the excess. Okay. Now we take our assembly lube, which is Torco. We get all our valves and stuff laid up over here. So you got rear exhaust, rear intake, front exhaust. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you own a real Harley, you know what that means. Alright, so all those parts are lined up. They're already adjusted, fitted. And the rock arms are the same thing. You got numbers on them. And of course, they're mixed up right now. This is 1, this is 2. This is, should be a 3 on there somewhere. I can't read it. 4. Yeah, well, that's what it should be, but yeah, somebody mixed them up. Okay, so we take the valve, which one we're on the front head, do the front exhaust, pull out the pile, put some assembly lube on your finger, make sure you wipe the Loctite off first, lubricate your valve stem, the hole, rotate as you go down, move it up a couple times, make sure it feels good, should be nice and free. Put some more oil on this one, don't be skimpy on your oil. This might be the only oil that sees for a while, so the camera's too close. Can't see what I'm doing. So make sure you got good oil on there. Rotate it on in. There you go. Okay, now we're on the rear head. Do a repeat. Alright, put oil on that. Okay, that works good. Okay, wipe off the oil, you don't need it on your finger anymore. Just makes your tools dirty. Makes them oily anyway. Okay, now we're going to put the valve seals on it. So, these are valve seals. They go in the valve. They also go on the guide. Okay, this is my rear head. This time I'm going to use the correct collars and not grab the wrong ones. Okay, we're doing the intake valve first. I'm going to grab the number 2 pile over there as the intake. Okay, this here has to go on the guide first because the seal will encapsulate that on there and you cannot put it on after you do that. It has to go on first. Okay, if you have any kind of valve shim, which you do on the exhaust valve, not the intake, you have to put those on under that. Okay, now these here I just kind of push them on and rotate them around. I have zero luck with the plastic piece of crap tube they put on them. So I just kind of take my 3 fingers and rock it around back and forth and push it over the top. Goes over the first one pretty easy. Second one do the same thing. See how it goes on there sideways a little bit. Like this. You just kind of push it up with your thumb and down with your finger a little bit and roll it around. And when you roll it just right, it pops right on. You should not see any kind of residue if you're pulling the seal apart. If you did, you did it wrong. The seal should have a nice good lip around it when you see it. Before you even put it on, you should know it's good. Now we go to the other side, it's the exhaust. Okay, this one over here we have a shim. See when they shim in the motor. So one shim goes on first. Doesn't matter which way that one goes on. Then the retainer goes on. This camera's just way too close, isn't it? Maybe I'm standing too close. That's the problem. I'm too close. Okay, so you got the lower retainer on it. And then we do a seal again. Same thing. Boom. Oop, pull it right back off again. No problem. Pull it right back on again. It's on there. See the seal's still stuck on the valve. See how it goes up and down with the valve? That means you know the seal's still good. Okay, you lay this on the workbench. Don't put the exhaust spigot on the bench. That's what breaks the exhaust spigot on the bench. It'll break it off, or at least dent it or damage it. Lay it over the side of the bench like that. The bench is smooth so it doesn't hurt the gasket surface. Okay, I use my plastic driver. Here's the seal. You know it's the right driver because it fits in the hole correctly, not rocking around. There's plenty of room for this to go over the valve because this thing's hollow all the way up to here. See, the valve goes up, takes the whole screwdriver straight in, no problem. This is the kibble white tool that they make. Piece of crap, got to be worked on. It only goes into that far. What the hell are you going to do with that? That's barely even over the valve stem. It does hold this really nice though. I'll give them that. They made that part right, they just didn't make it deep enough. So I'll have to go in there and bore that hole down deeper, drill it. That's the only one I haven't modified yet, and yeah, I have to modify it too. What a shocker. Okay, you take that over there, steel hammer, plastic hammer. This is soft, this is hard. Different colors mean different things. This bounces against the plastic more than this one does. This weighs a little bit more than this too. Not much, just a little bit. So, anyway, you use this steel part to work it, it looks easier. So you hit it, that just bounced, that went over the guide. Make sure it's all the way down, pull it up, you're good. Do the same thing on this one. Now, do little hits are better than big ass hits. Big ass hits break things, especially if you miss and go bang right on the head. Might break something, break a fin off, damage threads, you know, stuff like that. Okay, put the valves all the way up, twist it around when you get to it, see if the seal's loose. If the seal rotates or moves at all, it's junk, throw it away, get another one. It's got to be tight, stay tight. The Loctite seals it and holds it on the stem. After it sets up, works good. Make sure your valve has got drag on it. It should have drag on it, it shouldn't just fall out. If it falls out, the seal's not working, get another seal. You did something wrong. Figure it out, fix it. See how it stays put? Doesn't drop. Okay, that means the seals are all right. You got the lower collar on it, you didn't forget to put those on. I've done that before. That means you got to take them back apart and do it again. Okay, so now we're ready to put the springs on these. Okay, this here is the rear head, so we're going to start with the first pile over there. See, I still got all my parts lined up over here. Everything's lined up. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got rear intake, you got rear exhaust, rear intake, front intake, rear exhaust. That's exactly how it lies up on the motor. Goes right across. Now on this head here, it's easier to do the intake first because that's the way I'm holding the head. So you do the intake. Cheaper. These are all the parts we mocked up before with our install height check. If you didn't see that, go back about 4 or 5 videos. Everything you do on the heads is important. There's not one thing you do that doesn't matter on the heads. That's why it's the most important thing you do is heads. It's also where all the horsepower is at. If you got screwed up heads, you're screwed up. Okay, I like to balance on the table right there. I hold the keeper with my finger up like that. I do the bottom one first. Sometimes you have to use a screwdriver to help align it a little bit because you didn't put it on your finger correctly. Got to get up into the keeper groove. This one doesn't want to go in the groove. There it goes. So when you get up in the groove, I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's in there. I got my fingers holding it. See, I'm rotating a little bit. Now I hold this one like this, and you just drop it right down on top, like that. Wiggle around, make sure it's in the groove, and you're good. Let gravity do its job for you. I don't put any grease, oil, or anything else on there. You unscrew this, and it tightens up, loosens up the spring. Make sure the keepers are going on evenly. Before you let go of it, make sure both keepers look identical height. If they're not, one's in, one's not. You might get a valve spring in the face if you take this off before you know. Okay, then you look at it. See how they're both in there? Good. That one's good to go. Now we flip it around, we do the exhaust. That's these other parts laying over here. Did all these parts look the same? They might not be. I checked them with these parts, so I'm using these parts. They might be interchangeable, they might not be, I don't know. I didn't check them. Always pick up the keepers the same way. They go in the same direction. Oop, did you see how that one popped out? Haven't done that one in a long time. Wonder why that did that. It must have bounced it when I was bouncing it. Trying to do video and everything, or not doing things like you do every time. Okay, same height it's in there. Good to go. Okay, lay it on the bench, not on the exhaust port. Take a medium screwdriver, strong enough you can hit on it. I used a plastic hammer, not the steel. I don't want to hurt my tools. You hit it on top of the keeper to make sure the keeper is tight and in there. It also relieves any stress. If there's any kind of stress in the spring, beating on it will free it. Gets rid of any kind of twisting or anything that might be in there for some stupid reason. Okay, now this is all in there. Good to go. The valve's in there like it's supposed to. Looks good. Now you can go in here and measure your install height. Double check your numbers. Make sure they're still good. We should be around 185, 385, and if you look at the number right there, I don't know if you can read it, but put it about where it belongs. It's about right there, I think. So we're just under 400, so that'd be 380-ish, 90 right in that area. So looks good. Sometimes these will pull up a little extra. These ones haven't pulled up any. They're pretty good. Now these are the royal keepers, or not royal, manly keepers. They stick up about 30 thou more than a Harley. I didn't show that in the other video. Here's the 65 heads all done. See how this keeper's actually below the surface a little bit? So you're sitting down real low, that means the collar's further up. See how this one, see how the keeper's sticking up higher? Collar sitting lower, that means this is stuck down. So that gets rid of some of your clearances in here. Now the reason you do that is because these heads are sunk deeper. The valve sits down in the head further. So instead of putting a bunch of shims under here, I basically shimmed it by using different keepers. So I'm doing all the same stuff, but I'm doing it a different way. So this makes it different because these are a little bit thicker than Harley, so that's how they work. So when you're using those, you just have to know that in the back of your head. Now if you have an installation where your valves are stock height, you put a high lift cam in it, you can't run this crap, there ain't room for it. If you do, you're going to have a coil blind problem or other issues. So somehow you have to have clearances, so that's one way you get it. So that's just how you do it. Okay, now I get the other head, which must be this one over here. We do it. Okay, this time here we're doing the exhaust valve. Okay, so that'll be way over here in the back corner. Did I forget something? Yeah. I haven't even put the seals on this motor yet, so we can't assemble this one yet. See, I looked over there, I saw a bunch of parts laying over there. What the hell are they over there for? Okay, so did I... Yes, we have Loctite on this. We have Loctite on this still. Almost put that on first. Okay, we're on the wood exhaust. Put the lower retainer on it. See, video gets me out of my norm for doing stuff. Spend more time explaining than working and making mistakes. You notice I don't edit very much. Mistakes happen every day. That's what you do about your mistakes, is how it works. That's part of doing the job. Okay, that's on there now. Where's my tool? There's my tool. Other tool. Okay, check. Yep, good. Check, good. Seals tight. Perfect. Now we can assemble. Okay, what are we on now? We're on the exhaust again. Oh, now there's only parts for exhaust over here now. I didn't put it back to where starting point is. Okay, make sure the valve is going through the hole there. It's that red tip thing in there. Cranking down the handle over here. Right there got tight. That means we bound up over here. So if you look at the valve collar and the valve tip, they're not centered right now. Push it this way. Pop. Now it's back in the hole. Now you can tighten this again. Oh, look at it, turns now. If you have to force it, then you didn't go in enough. I have to look at here to see the depth here, make sure I got room to put the keeper in there. I can go in one more turn. Alright, now it's in there plenty deep enough. So when things start to bind up, stop, figure out what the problem is, don't force it. If you have to force it, there's something wrong. Wrong is not good. So you're just unscrewing this, like I said, you're uncranking the handle on this side over here. The whole time you're watching this side over here, making sure your keepers are in there, not doing anything stupid like that last time where it popped out, for whatever reason. Okay, make sure it's straight, looks good. Next. Damn long sliver getting in the way. Okay, so next spring, next collar. Put that on there. Didn't go enough again. And I got tight right about there. Same problem. Boop. Just push with your thumbs, all it takes. Okay, reach over there, grab your keeper in the spot you can work with it. Rotate it around. Keeper's not going to the back side of the groove. There it goes. That's been hitting on the inside of the collar in there. Didn't want it to pop up like it's supposed to. Now if you just put it together like that and didn't have it quite in the groove all the way and start uncranking this, it would bind up, it'd be sticking up and cause a problem. It might come out and hit you. That's best case scenario, it hit you. Worst case is it drops the valve while the bike's running, you got a problem. Anyway, if you let it pop in with pressure, you can nick up the valve, nick up the keeper, and it might cause a problem down the road too. So just make sure it goes in freely. You can see how there's no binding when you do it right. Okay, we're going to do our valve tapping here. Keeper tap. That one there. That one there. You can tell it's got good tension on the springs. It's got a pretty hard pop. So you know you got a lot of tension on the things. Alright, so now they're in there. Look good. So now another set in there already. Okay, now we can do the rocker arms. Okay, this is our front head, this is our rear head. So lay them out correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your rocker arms, lay them out 1, 2, 3, and 4. There you go. If you did it right, they're in pairs, equal. If you got two of the same, you didn't do it right. Okay. We're done with this tool, so we can get out of my way. So hang it up here on the wall where it belongs, out of your way. Clears up your workbench down here so you can run the work. And, when you're done with tools, get rid of them. Okay, so we're going to take these apart. These are all rebuilt, all ground up, fitted individually for each valve. These are custom ground for each valve, so they don't mix anymore. Up until that point, you can mix them around a little bit. Okay, this one doesn't want to come off, it's fighting me. So you take a steel hammer, hit it right on the edge here. Not on the tip, on the edge. See, the block slit's coming apart, see? Boop. It popped right off. We just got to get off these two dowel pins that are right here, just sticking a little bit. It doesn't hurt anything by hitting on a rocker arm. Get it in that spot. Okay, so now they're all apart. Get rid of some more tools here. Lots of tools we don't need. Get rid of them. Okay, so now we can oil this stuff up. We're going to use our torque assembly lube again. Make sure you get lots of oil in these things. Don't be skimpy. Grease is not good because it might not dissipate with the oil, which means it plugs up stuff. So that would be a bad thing. Plugs up oil galleries, didn't get no oil and no grease. So if you're going to use grease, make sure you read the container and see if it's oil compatible, which means it dissipates. The top of the rocker arm definitely needs grease on it, oil I mean. The bottom here is not so important. When you clean these, make sure these two oil galleries are opened up. Blow through here. Should have air coming out. Equal amounts. If not, then you got something plugged up in there. I've had broken debris and other stuff in there. All kinds of crap in these holes, and you got to blow them out. There's no way of pushing stuff out. You go in there with a pick sometimes and like a little drill bit and go in there and kind of cut it out and keep blowing it back and forth to get them clean. I've had them issues before in the past. There's oil galleries in the head here. I've had those where they were plugged up. That's common from heat. So when you clean these, you got to make sure you run a long drill bit down these oil galleries, all the way down. If you look inside, you can see like a V shape down between the fins in here. Those are actually where the oil galleries come down at. So make sure they're clean. Nothing like putting a new set of heads together and have no oil. Guess what happens? You'll have it back pretty soon with a lot of noise. I've had more than one head come in that was completely blocked for 3 inches into the head. It's been blocked for so many years. You know how the guy even had the bike running. It just goes to show you a Harley will run even though it's got no oil in it. Of course, it was kind of junk when he took it apart, but yeah, well. Things happen. Lubricate that. Put a little bit of oil on the rocker tip. Run out of oil. There you go, rocker tip, and a little bit on the valve tip too. I don't do the push rod tip. I lubricate the push rod and shove it up in the hole. I don't know how long these are going to be sitting, so I don't want to have debris that can get up in here. Stick oil, stick dirt, and dust, and tie your ball socket. I don't like doing that, so I'll let you lubricate it later yourself. Okay, that one doesn't go on very easy. Got some tight dowel pins on that one. Have to hit that one with a hammer probably. These are used arms. You can see all the wear marks in them. They're not worn out, but they're not new either, so I only had to replace one arm. And that's because it was the wrong one. That 3 of the same arm didn't work very well. Okay, the long side goes toward the push rods and the short side goes toward the valve. Remember that when you put them together. That pop down just in my hand. Okay. So you gotta make sure you get all the dowel pins and everything. There's 2 dowels in the heads and there's 2 dowels in the block for alignment purposes. The dowels are in the cover here and they're in the head. The iron part doesn't have any dowels in it. It's not supposed to. See how much oil I got on my fingers? I just put a little dip on here by mistake. And this is the only finger's got oil on it. So my hands are dry. Parts are dry. Just because you're working on oil doesn't mean you have to be covered with it. Of course, once I'm done, I get off my hands. My oil container is not full of oil either. I keep it clean. That way when I touch it, I don't get dirty. My tools are dry too, see, no oil on them. It's a good thing. It's hard to do stuff when you're covered in oil all the time. Okay, I use a blue Loctite on these because I use full nuts on these, just like I did on the other job. So this is a full width lock nut. Here's the stock one they had on here. You had these little Loctite jam nuts on here, which only have, you know, about 2 threads in here, 2 or 3 threads. These ones here have about 5 or 6 threads in there. So one has a lot more holding power than the other. Now the original nut is a lock nut that's a thin nut like that, but it's a mechanical locking on top, kind of like a cone tower shape on top, which gives you a little bit more threads, but they actually pull out under a load, so you only got a couple threads on the bottom again. So you try to pull them down to 20, 25 foot-pounds, they pretty much give up about 20, 22. They won't pull 25 very often. This will pull 25, no problem. It'll probably pull 30. So this is a lot better. If the studs are sticking up like these ones are, I use the tall nuts. But I do put Loctite on them though. The mechanical locking ones, I don't usually put Loctite on them, but you can or not, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to use red Loctite because I want the studs to stay in the head. I'm just using the blue. It's just kind of a secondary backup thing. And you only need a drop on there. You don't need to have a pour a bottle on top of this stuff. Just takes a drop's all it takes. Most people use way too much sealers and everything and just makes a big mess. Get all this crap running around inside your motor is not good. So there you go. You just put a little bit on there is all it takes. Don't need no extra. Doing production this time, I'm doing both heads at once. It's faster. Okay, exhaust port. Turn it that way. Exhaust port's over here. Out of the way, protected. We're good. The workbench isn't screwing up the head gasket surface. It's smooth. Okay, there's a couple oilers we got to put on here if you want to. I don't use them on my bike, so you can use them if you want. So, these go in the intakes, not the exhaust. If you put on the wrong one, they don't work. Now their job is, when the head's at this angle, 22.5 degrees, because it's a 45-degree V-twin, this oiler is supposed to somehow catch oil in this little hole and somehow drip it on top of this rocker arm. The way I see it, if it's collecting oil on here, this is covered with oil already. We don't need a stupid drip oiler. They did this stuff back in the 50s when they had crappy oil. We don't have crappy oil anymore. We got good oil that works. So these things are a joke. But anyway, if the customer wants them, I put them on. If they don't care, I leave them off. If I have them, I use them. If I don't have them, I don't use them. Screw it. Unless the customer agrees with me not to put them on. Customer's not here right now to tell me if he wants them or not, so I'll put them on. If I have them here, we'll use them. They're just a piece of crap, junk. Don't need them. I don't use any washers on these. I just tighten down against the brass. Technically, brass is a washer, isn't it? So I look at it. Now these studs are long enough. You can probably put a little thin shim washer under here. It'll be fine, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now these are grade 5 nuts, not grade 8. Don't need grade 8 on these. But if you want to use them, it doesn't hurt anything. This ain't worth anything. Stud ain't grade 8, so why bother? Okay, I use my zip gun. This is a heavy duty zip gun. I know what torque it puts out when I use it. So I use a cross pattern for torque. So they're not down yet, they're just bringing them down. I do a crossover pattern. Cross it again. Okay, now we're going to torque. 1, 2. 2, crossover. 2, 2. It should torque now. Okay, that's the first hit. Now go 1, 2. You hit. 2. Hit. Good. Alright. Rocker arm should work freely. It does. This one's got a problem. It binds up on something. Oh, it's got that stupid oiler over here. Now the oiler's not quite where it belongs either. Now you can bend it up like that by pushing on this part over here, which I just did. Then you take this and beat it over here where it belongs. Just to get clearance. So now at least it'll drip on top of that. Bring it down a little bit. Okay, we have just a little bit of clearance on that, so at least now see it'll drip on top of the rocker a little bit. It's kind of a joke. I don't really see what it's in there for. Like I said, it's there. Okay, we're going to do the other head the same way. Torque, 1, 2, 2. Okay, bringing these ones down. No torque yet. No torque, no torque, no torque, no torque, no torque, no torque, no torque. Okay, just hit. 1, 2, 2. Hit. Rocker arm works. Well, we got a problem. This one is not working. First one, it hasn't worked yet. So number 8 rocker arm does not work. Okay, we got to find out what's going on with that. There's something wrong on that one. Okay, meantime, I'll go ahead and torque these other ones. There's no reason to do it, but people like seeing it done. So this is set for maximum torque for a 5/16 bolt, which is about 25 foot-pounds, give or take. So I obviously have more. See, it's not even moving it. My zip gun puts a lot more than 25 foot-pounds on these damn things. Get over here so I can hold it. Yep, there we go. Okay, no movement. This one here, same thing, no movement. Alright. That's 12 of those, no movement yet. Okay, now this one here, something has happened and made this tight. See, it's still tight though, I don't like this. I don't know why it's tight. Okay, that freed it up a little bit. Okay, let's tighten it down and see if we can it's tight again. So this is not honed enough. So something happened because we checked them before with no hone. Okay, so this one here is going to have to be worked on again for whatever reason. Come on, get off the head. Okay, there we go, it's up. Okay, this one head's done. Get out of my way. This head's half done. Get out of the way over there. Okay, now we got a workbench we can work with. Everything dropped back together. Okay, so I got to see what the hell's going on with this thing. Didn't feel like anything was in there, it just felt like it just got tight. So what the hell happened to it? Dowel pins appear to be pretty loose. So my guess is what's happening is this head is not square over here. This is not flat. So when you torque it all down, it warps the block and causes this to get tight. Because everything else worked good on these things. So my guess is that's what's happening here. I don't see any obvious burrs or anything on there. Pull out my file. I don't like filing on parts that are already assembled. Put this right here to kind of keep some of the grit off. So the file's picking up some high spots here, and see how it's shining right here on the edge. So that means it's high right there. The head's probably bowed up like this. The head's probably bowed like this. God damn it, picture's way big. You know, the head's probably bowed like this instead of being flat because I'm filing on it. And it's leaving a mark. Pretty good mark too. Pretty heavy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to file this a little bit. Trying to stay off the valve spring. I don't want to put any grit in my valve springs. They're all full with oil right now, so the grit will stay in there. Now this might be enough to free up the problem. Hopefully it is. We'll see. Trying to spot it from multiple angles to try to make it flat. If you want to get it from one direction, it might not be flat. All right, blow this off a little bit. I got an oil gallery right here. I want to blow into that. I'm going to blow the oil gallery up on the other side of the head. Here's the oil gallery right here. So if anything went down that hole I was filing on it, should have blew it out. Almost lost all these gaskets over here. See all the stuff running on the floor down here? I just caught it just in time. Making a mess. Okay, you want to make sure you don't have any loose debris on your head. So it's nice and clean in here. I don't see any debris in there, so it's clean. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back together and try it again. See if that was enough to free up the problem. If not, I'm going to have to loosen up the block. Still Loctite on these, but I'm just going to retouch them up just to make sure. Okay, now we know this is flat because we flattened it. This is the one that goes on tight on the dowel pins. And this must be the intake. Yep, it's the intake. Bit. Now tying this up a different pattern might make a difference too. It's free. Nice and free. No problem. Okay, so that little high spot on the bottom was causing this thing to flex up a little bit like this, which made it bind up a little bit on the edges. It wasn't enough to lock up the rocker arm, but it was enough I could feel some binding. Okay, this is still out of the way a little bit, so I gotta bend this up where it belongs. Extra clearance. Still works freely over here. Okay, so there you go. That had to be. I'm going to do some fine tuning there. And just for the hell of it, we'll check this with this to make sure everybody's happy. I'm using a torque wrench. Dumbasses don't know how to tighten bolts up. Yes, it's tight. Now you know what the torque wrench, you know what the torque reading is for this bolt? When you look up in a Harley book, it tells you tighten bolts tight, if you over tighten it's bad. That's pretty much the extent to how they say torque on old motors. I mean, you're supposed to be smart enough to know what tight means. Okay, so yeah, that head works good free now, so now we don't have a problem. So that's a plus. Okay, so this head's done. Got to put the covers on it still, but that's going to be done tomorrow, not today. Actually, it's tomorrow. I got an early start for tomorrow. So there you go. We worked late again tonight. We worked until the next day. That's how we do it around here. We work until we get it done. Okay, so we got our 58 heads done. We got our 65 heads done. So, and it is only, oh, it's only 2 o'clock. There we go. Yeah, it's an early day. It's dinner time. Well, not yet. I'm not home yet. I eat dinner when I get home. Okay, so that's it for this. Tomorrow we're going to put the pan covers on it, and the 58's in back. The 65 is right there. The heads are going to go on the bike, and then, yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to start it tomorrow, but we'll see. But we'll at least get the heads on the bike. So that's it for now.